and welcome to another Stafford Bridge Live podcast. Coming to you from Sunday morning, post Chelsea losing to Manchester United, post Arsenal drawing Manchester City. Chelsea lose to United away. Old Trafford has been repeatedly an issue for this team. And yesterday was no exception. Rob Sanchez takes a red card 5 minutes into the game, and any tactical takeaways from the remainder of the game cease to exist. That's the whole story, is that Chelsea took an early red card. They conceded 2 goals at 10 men. United took a red card in first half injury time. Chelsea were more competitive in the second half. The pitch was very waterlogged, blah, 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 so on. Statistically, 1.8 to 0.4. For some background, a red card is worth something like 3/4 of an XG per half. So you consider United played the whole first half up a player. That's like half of the difference between the two teams in this match. And, I think Chelsea did not manage the game with 10 players well at all. And I think this is one of the things that we'll end up talking about a lot today in reference to Maresca is like, I think Maresca definitely got it wrong. I think Maresca definitely got it wrong with his adjustments to the red card. That is one I think you cannot deny, and we can talk about that. 11 shots to 5, 3 big shots to 1, so on. Like I said, the matching of the stats doesn't really matter given everything that happened. But Chelsea lost. -1 point on last season. It's a problem. If you look at the year-over-year stuff, the XGD is down. That's entirely because of this game. The goal difference is still up. The points are still up. The XG is down, again, mostly because of this game. The defensive stuff is broadly better. Whatever. We're talking about a 5-game league sample size. Let's just get straight into the red card and get straight into some of the tactical things that led to the red card, and then how Maresca adjusted and what that means. This will be a more tactics board heavy podcast stream, everything, because there's not that much to make of the data here. It's much more about like structurally what happened. So a couple things that I thought were interesting. Chelsea rotated a little bit from the Champions League game midweek. Estevao comes back in. James starts. Fofana starts. Okay. What I suspect that this would have looked like is, and Estevao comes on the left, which is a thing I said in preseason. I think we're going to see a lot of Estevao off the left. And what we saw with that was that Estevao probably would have come inside to, Estevao probably would have come inside as a left 10, Palmer as a right 10, Cucurella and Neto would have held your width, James, Fofana, Chalobah, back 3. Putting Fofana the middle of the 3 is probably the safest place to put him. He's like a very poor passer, but he's a good dribbler, so he can kind of just like circulate the U. I don't know. This is what I think would have happened. We didn't really get much of a look at it before the red card, so it is what it is. And what happened is what has happened against Palace. It's what has happened against Manchester City last year, is that when Chelsea get put into positions to press, they end up with these situations that a fullback has to jump because a winger is going to go, right? So here's the situation. Estevao is going high to the right center back, which means I think actually it was more like this, but it doesn't really matter. what you end up with is something like this, where you have a 9, you have like a 10 underneath, kind of, and you have a free player. And Mark Cucurella is asked to jump all the way out because Estevao jumps, and then Cucurella jumps behind. Normally, this happens with Neto and James or Gusto, right? Like normally, that is the world that it happens in. This time, it was Estevao and Cucurella. Estevao jumps, Cucurella jumps, which means that Caicedo fills in the back line. They go direct to Sesko against Chalobah. I don't particularly understand. Like, I love Trev. I think he's really, really good. I think he's a very, very talented center back. Chalobah's biggest weakness is he's not that good in the air. He is not. His timing isn't great. He's not super, super strong. Like, he does struggle against direct balls into tall strikers. That is a thing that he is not amazing at. And that's okay. It's like there are other things he's very, very good at. I was surprised that you did not manage it like this, but maybe that's hindsight, because like I think it's justifiable to say, well, Chalobah goes up and Fofana wraps around. That didn't happen here. I thought Fofana had a horrific game. I think Fofana is not good at football, but that's a separate topic. I thought Fofana was very poor. But I think Fofana is a much better leaper than Chalobah is, so you probably would have gone like this. And as Rocco Skrabic says in the chat, that's probably why Tosin came in minute 5. And I think that is exactly the case why Maresca makes the sub off of the red card, is to bring Tosin in to be direct against Sesko. And unfortunately, Chalobah misses it. Fofana is not in great position to recover. Caicedo falls asleep, and you end up with Mbeumo runs behind off of the flick on. Sanchez comes and takes him out. Red card. Now, there's a couple of things that I think are interesting about this. One, Jamie Redknapp had a really, really good piece of analysis on Sanchez, where when the direct pass happens, Sanchez is actually standing exactly where he makes the challenge. And if he is more proactive about his sweep, he just clears it and he just deals with it, no problem. But he backs up and then comes again. This is my biggest problem with Sanchez. The shot stopping, I think he's a good shot stopper. The cross claiming, I think he's an excellent cross claimer. The passing, I actually think he's like mostly fine in possession. The sweeping is the stuff where the real Bozo Sanchez moments happen to me, where he gets his timing wrong. He gets his timing wrong. He gets his starting positions wrong. He very frequently drops off and then comes back and then goes again. And then all of a sudden it's like you're here and Erling Haaland has the ball and you get lobbed. Like, that is the thing to me that I'm like, ooh, it's the one. It's the one. And it's a problem. It's a real problem. Now, the second part of this is like, once you realize you can't get there, Enzo Maresca said, I'd rather take the goal than the red card. And mathematically, he is absolutely correct. You can think of, again, like I said, a 45 minutes of being up a player is worth something like a penalty. It's about the same mathematically. So if you think about it for Sanchez, you would rather give up the goal, be even players, and now if Casemiro gets sent off at halftime, you get to play the whole second half and make up whatever amazing chance you got. In reality, I think the best decision is once he backs up, it's just too hard to back up and then start going again. That's the thing to me, is once you start backing up, just drop and treat it like a shot. Like, even if Mbeumo goes through on this, it's maybe a 0.5 XG chance. Like, you might save it. You can definitely save it. He might miss the goal, all of those things. So I think that's like number one on the goalkeeper side. I think the number two here is once you decide to come, like, just pull out and let him go. And all right, you get rounded, but like you don't get sent off. So as a result, Estevao comes out, Sanchez becomes Jorgensen. They also take off Neto for Tosin, who I think wears number 4. So I'll adjust my thing. And they go to a back 5 with basically like something like this, where you have like a 5-3-1 off of João Pedro. And you end up with something like this for a few minutes. Chelsea concede off of like a back post delivered cross that gets headed back in. This has been a thing for Chelsea for many years, that like people just lose their back post guy all the time. It's if teams play a short corner, Chelsea shrink near post, and you can hit floated deliveries to the back post, we will get murked by Arsenal for exactly the same way. It's happened multiple times. And you end up with this situation where you're just cooked. Like you can't get there. Now what happens after that is the like second Maresca sin. I think realistically doing the Tosin sub is not something I would have done, but I think is defensible. I think he looked at like, okay, Sesko's 6'5", he's going to win everything. And now that United are up a player, they're going to be able to just shell crosses, and we need Tosin to defend the crosses. I think that's a defensible opinion. But I think bringing Neto off instead of Palmer, who it later comes out has undergone a fitness test pre-match, is not 100%. There's a very low chance he's going to play 90 minutes. I think you just take Palmer there and say, you know what? Not worth it. Not worth it. Again, I think he should just not have played if that's the case, but not worth it. Come off now. You save yourself the sub. Chelsea concede. They concede again off of some of the worst goalkeeping I have ever seen, and the less said about it, the better. And are handed a lifeline by Casemiro, red card. So what do we see in the second half? This becomes Andre Santos, and Chelsea effectively do something like this all the time to get their shape in possession. And they had moments where they actually looked pretty good in possession, because United lose whoever, and United just went to like 5-2-2. Basically, they took the 9 off and just went 5-2-2 and managed like this. And I thought there were moments that Chelsea looked okay. I thought particularly Andre Santos was good linking things in between. And just what ends up happening is the same as kind of the last couple times that Chelsea have felt that way. You just get nothing in the second half. Like they score a goal off of a set piece that's very dangerous. They get like a pretty good chance off of a knockdown from a cross late. And other than that, they score a goal that is then offside. Like they just did not create much. And part of that is the pitch. The pitch is very slow and all those sorts of things. But it was like pretty stagnant, and they just couldn't get the numbers in the box, because you end up with this situation where João Pedro comes deep to link, and you have no pressure. You have no pressure on the back line. You have no pressure to go. You have no pressure to run in behind, any of those things. And this is where, like, I'm sure after the podcast part of this ends, we'll talk about all the transfer things that happen. But like, the things João Pedro does is start deep and run behind, or start high and link. Those are the two things he does. If he starts high, he's not running in behind. So if he starts high, you need other players to do the running in behind. And if you look at the 5 players or 4 players underneath him, James, Fernandez, Andre Santos, Cucurella, who there is running behind him? And so we get to the 65th minute. Chelsea do a double sub. For some reason, the Jorgensen and Tosin subs were considered the same window, even though they did not happen at the same time. So that was very fortunate. We did not get a sub at halftime. So, like, it was pretty stagnant for 20 minutes. And instead we get Malo Gusto, and we get Tyreek George to have one player ahead. And whatever, that's Tyreek George. I'm not even changing the names because it's not worth it. And Tyreek George did not look very good. I thought Tyreek George was a strange decision in that role. He has not looked good when he's played as a 9. And as Andrew Ford says here, everyone last season, it's really bad that Chelsea only have one senior striker. It's really bad that Chelsea only have one senior striker last season, especially as the one they have is someone reliable. Now we effectively have none. 1 shot and 3 for João Pedro, and you can look at João Pedro's FP ref and look in the games he's played as a striker versus the games he hasn't played as a striker. You have 3 games as a striker. He has 1 assist, 0 goals, and they are his 3 worst games of the season. So, not good. He's not taking shots. He's got 3 shots in 3 games as a 9. Not good. So you end up in this situation where, like, what are we doing here? So I think in terms of like the next couple weeks and until Delap is fit and until January, the question to me is like, how are you going to get pressure on the back line? And there's a couple options for that. Is it going to be much more Garnacho? That didn't happen. Is it going to be a lot of João Pedro as a 10, somebody else as a 9? Like, will Guiu play? I think if Guiu plays well against Lincoln, we might get a look. Carlos Wagner says in the chat, I miss Jackson. I think that's the one you look at and you're like, that would be nice. And here we are. In terms of the big picture, like I said, whatever about all of this, I think there's a lot of people, and I said this after the Bayern game, like, people have reacted fairly crazily to the Bayern game. They reacted even more crazily to this game. The reaction to this game was pretty nuts. And yes, as Rocco Scarpich says, Guiu can't even play against Lincoln because you're right, because he is cup tied for that game, which is lovely. But maybe Muka will score. I think that the real thing is like, okay, how much should you take away from this? How much stock should there be in this game? To me, the answer is not a lot, which is not super heartening, but the answer is not a lot. Like, I think if you look at the Bayern game, right? My thing from the Bayern game is Chelsea had a lot of guys come back from international break. They've had a short preseason, so like everybody's already not in a good place. And then have to play a very difficult Brentford game, travel against a very good Bayern game, played okay and lost. Whatever. I think when you look at this game, you have to factor in a few things. 1, third game in a pretty tough week. Away. Brentford, Bayern, United. Like, there's no, where are you resting in there? 2nd, fresh off an international break, so like already players retired. 3rd, preseason. 4th, you take an early red card on a waterlogged pitch. Like, this is a physical nightmare of a game. So when you look at it and say, wow, Chelsea looked really tired. Like, yeah, of course they did. So to me, the only takeaways are this. The only takeaways are this. If you think Chelsea are a 90-point team, you should be concerned. I don't think and have not thought at any point that Chelsea are a 90-point team. I think they are a low 70s point team. And because of that, I am not worried. They are playing like a low 70s point team. Sometimes you play bad and lose. Sometimes dumb things happen and you drop points. That's like what being a Champions League but not amazing Champions League team is. That is takeaway number 1 to me. Takeaway number 2 is like, we have a little bit of a track record developing for Maresca that, like, when the situations aren't clear, right? Like, I think when it's like, okay, the game has started, this bad thing happens, we get 20 minutes to kind of see, okay, here's where the problem is, here's the hole, like, okay, well, they're doing this with their fullbacks and this is what we need to do. He's really good. I think his tactical solves, when it's like he's got time to break it down and take a look, really good. I think when the situations are a bit chaotic, like red cards, like whatever, I think he struggles a little bit. I think we have some signal that that may be the case. And now, how concerned am I about that? The answer is not very, because one, your goalkeeper getting sent off in the first 5 minutes is extraordinarily rare. That has happened. Like, I think it's the earliest red card for a goalkeeper in 30 years or something like that. And like, that's not, if you are picking your manager over the best ability to adapt to an early red card, like, what, that's just a dumb thing to select your manager for. So, like, I think he's fine. Am I concerned about it? No. He's fairly inexperienced. It's like his third season ever as a manager. I don't even think he's coached 100 games as a coach. He's probably just above 100 games as a coach. Like, let's just give it a deep breath, and it's fine. We'll answer a couple questions for the podcast portion, and then we'll cut the podcast, and then we will just keep streaming afterwards. Abhishek Jain says there are issues with the press. Stop asking Trev to jump out of the back line. It's like a fish out of water. He doesn't do that well. Many players are also overplayed. I actually fundamentally disagree with this. Like, I cannot express the degree to which I think you are incorrect. Trev is really, really, really good jumping into midfield. He is very, very, very good jumping into midfield. I think the thing Trev does poorly, the most poorly as a center back, is when he is asked to post up target men. Like, that, I think, is the role that he does poorly. So, like, in a pairing of Chalobah and Fofana, I am much more comfortable with Chalobah following Mbeumo deep and Fofana dealing with the target man than I am the other way around. 100%. I do not think that Trev is incapable of that. I think Tosin is a player that you absolutely do not want in that situation. The problem with Tosin is that, like, he's good at dealing with big target man guys, but he cannot deal into the channel. He cannot deal into the channel. We've seen so many times where he overcommits, he gets chopped, and then it's a goal, or it goes through his legs or whatever. Not worth. I think the reality is that the way Chelsea choose to press, which often has a winger jumping, which has a cascading jump behind it, with players pulled out of position, means you end up with players looking dumb in moments. I think it is the reality of the way Chelsea defend. Now, if you ask me, well, why do you play that way if it's going to make players look dumb, is that, like, Chelsea improved significantly defensively last year. So, like, there's clearly something there that it kind of works. But I think, like, if you look at Arsenal City today, like, these are two teams who defend like a very compact 4-4-2 block, and they gave up basically nothing to each other. One real good chance each way, and that's it. That's the whole game. So I don't know. A lot of conversation in the chat about Amiga and Jackson. Lucas says we should get that Nicholas Jackson from Bayern. Looks decent. And then Vastarort TV says Amiga better than Jackson. So on, so on, so on. A couple of people said loved the Amiga cameo earlier. I think the reality is Chelsea just need a guy who's going to run in behind all the time. Whether João Pedro is playing, whether Palmer is playing, whether you go a full midfield three of Caicedo, Enzo, Andre, you need someone who's going to put pressure on the back line. And really, I think you need two of those players. So if you are playing a midfield three of, I don't even know, this was Neto. If you're playing a midfield three of, or a front three rather, of João Pedro, Neto, and Esteval, I don't think there's enough pressure in behind. But I think if you play Garnacho, João Pedro, and Esteval, you probably have enough pressure in behind. I think if you play Garnacho running behind striker and someone else, you can get away with it. But you just need the pressure in behind. Big time. Random Scoot says, let's say Sanchez makes a few more mistakes. Not that I want him to quite like him this season, but is there anyone else available in the market like Mina and shot stopping looks worse? Well, I think I think Chelsea would go get Mina as a short-term guy because he's out of contract. He still hasn't agreed a new deal. That's one I think they would go back to as a free agent. And a couple of people have mentioned Penders. I'm just going to point out something because like Liga put out a thing about Penders today showing him in the build-up. Penders has not played well as a goalkeeper so far. Like, he conceded 2 goals from 1 XG on shots, and it's very noisy. You really shouldn't look at like single games here. But like, if you are expecting, so he is now 5 goals from 3.5 XG. That's not good. If you are expecting Penders to be ready to start for Chelsea next season, like, you are incredibly incorrect. He will not be close, I don't think. I think he might be close the season after that. The number of 21-year-old goalkeepers who are ready to start for a good Champions League team is 0. Like, Donnarumma was the last one. Just like, give him a little bit of time, because what's going to happen is he's going to come in, he won't be ready, and then he will cost you games, and then you will be like, well, this guy sucks, and then he will not develop. And Des fully says, then we got to get a GK. And like, if you feel that way about Sanchez, I get it. However, I think that Sanchez is completely fine. I don't feel strongly that you should get rid of him. Like, if you can get Mainen on like a decent deal, like a decent contract for like 2 years or something, sure. But I think that's a short-term stopgap. CFFNM 47 says like, we got check at 21. Yeah, that was 20 years ago. And somebody brings up the Thibaut Courtois comparisons, but like, Thibaut Courtois is one of the best goalkeepers of all time. Like, sure. Lord Flacco says, didn't mind and also get injured. Yeah, he is out injured right now. The last question for the podcast part of this that we will leave it at is I'm concerned that we are trending towards a potential regression and conflict between Enzo and the directors. Now, this is an interesting question to me, because one of the things I find particularly interesting, if we go back to the match, is twofold. Tyreek George was like 10 minutes from moving to Fulham on a permanent deal, like gone from the club. Okay. He has now come on a bunch, mostly as a striker. He has played significantly more than I expected him to. He's not looked very good. And Enzo Maresca continues to play him ahead of Mark Guiu. I find that particularly interesting, and raises question marks in terms of their alignment to me. I look at particularly that one. And I just think that's one to keep an eye on. and this person, Brendan Tarney, followed up. I appreciate your calm measured approach, but are you not at all concerned about top five? I'm not worried yet. I'm not worried yet. It will take quite a bit more. I think you look at Newcastle and Villa, who both drop points today. Like Villa dropped points to Sunderland, up a player for 70 minutes. Like I am just not I'm just not worried about that. Sorry, I just got a WhatsApp call, which is pretty funny. I am just not worried about that. So we will see. We will see what happens there. So we'll wrap the pod there, and then we can jump onto stream. Anyways, that's all for me. As always, enjoy the soccer. Okay, pod done. We can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about now. The pod is done. Jeremy Jacquet looks like a promising center back. Sure. There was a lot of center back stuff. The thing with me on the center back side is you have to be really careful because you have Levi Colwill. Who is very, very good. Like locked in starter. Lucas says, I did wonder what that noise was. Yeah, I got a WhatsApp call. You have Levi Colwill, who is a locked in starter. Like in pen, ink, Sharpie, whatever you want. So you start from there. And then it's like, okay, you have a whole lot of guys who are like center back threes. Like I think optimally, I think Tosin, I think Chalobah. I think Chalobah is better than Tosin. I think those two guys are like, if they're the third center back at your club, you're pretty happy. If they're starting every single game, I don't think you feel great. I think Colwill and Chalobah, you could get away with it. You did get away with it. But I don't know if like those are the guys for a title. You know what I mean? I think Fofana, I don't know. I'm out on Fofana. I just like the injuries, the wages, like all of it. Like I would very happily move him. And I don't think you'll ever be able to move him. Like I really don't. I don't. He just makes too much money, and you have way too much book value left. Like I don't know how. I don't know how you're gonna get off that deal, and I don't think he will ever be reliable enough to be a legit starter for you. So then when you talk about, okay, what do you want to do at center back? You want to go get a guy. Well, you have Sarr, you have Anselmino. Josh Otter says, what's the book value on Fofana? That's a good question. It is, let's see. He signed in 2022. He signed in 2022 on a 7-year deal for $80 million. So 80 divided by 7 is 11. And he's played, this is his third season at Chelsea. So he's got 67 million left on the books. Like you're never getting off of that deal. His book value is not 40 mil because he was pre 5-year deal. So he has only had whatever the three seasons. Poch, Maresca the year before. So he's played he's had 3 seasons. So he's got 56 million left. I just don't think you're ever going to be able to get off that. Andrew Ford says, is it increasing? Actually, there was a few that I want to talk about that. Lucas says, who's the best looking Chelsea player of all time not called Ruben Loftus-Cheek? Probably Giroud is like the safe bet. I always thought Drogba was quite handsome. He looked very like presidential. Um, Andy says smarter people than me, including you, have said that we're better than last season, but aren't we worse in attack without Nani and Jackson? We've also lost Colwell. I said we were better than last season before we lost Jackson. I think we're like maybe still a little bit better than last season, mostly by virtue of I think Andre is very good. I think Estevao is really good. I think Garnacho is very good. I think you will see some player improvement from some of the young guys, and James and Fofana will be more available than they were last year. And I think when you put all of those things together, it's probably bigger than Nani and Jackson. I think. But that might not be true. And like we might have other like Palmer, if Palmer spends the season kind of drifting in and out of injury and only plays 2090s, like we're probably worse. You're not wrong. So you have kind of trade-offs there. I think the real thing with this is like, will Chelsea finish better than last season is a much more interesting question, because you cannot go A team, B team with the Champions League. Like you're going to have worse lineups playing Premier League matches. It's going to happen. Hussein Carr says, Kier, now you're seen as pro Blueco when we lose and a Blueco hater when they win. Price of being objective. I thought that was so funny. I thought like people said I was like running overtime propaganda for Blueco for being like, I don't know, they took a red card in the 5th minute. Like, sorry, I'm not going to say everyone sucks. I thought that was insane to me. Andrew Ford, it's increasingly clear our transfer strategy is 90% about player trading, not squad improvement. It's the only way to make any sense of our summer business, which has on balance made us worse. Again, I don't know if it's on balance made us worse. And I think if it was true, that the business was entirely about player trading, I think Chelsea would be doing things very differently. Like I don't look at like Neto, who they bought. Like where is Neto in player trading? You are never moving him for profit. Ever. It's not possible. Where is player trading on João Pedro, who you are never moving for profit? Like actually you might move him for profit, but it would be very, very difficult. Like I don't see the player trading angle that clearly. I think there's some of it. Like I think Jackson is a player trading thing. I think like Garnacho is a pretty clear like player trading guy who is also a good player, and he'll either be good for you or you'll move him. I think Delap is a pretty clear player trading, like he will either be good for you or you'll move him. Like if it was player trading, you would sell Palmer for 200 million. If it was player trading, you would have sold Andre this summer. They could have sold Andre. I know for a fact that they got offered 60 million euros for Andre last summer before he'd even really played for Strasbourg. You could have made huge profit on that player and been like, yeah, we didn't think he was going to make it to the first team, and you could have flipped him right then. Again, people have talked about this in relation to like Chelsea. It's all about profit. Like Chelsea behave every season in a way to maximize the amount of money they can lose. I really don't think they are trying particularly to be profitable right now. I don't think that's an accurate description. So it is what it is. James Griffin says, really like the bit about us not being a 90-point team. United game made me come to terms with that for the season. Question to you is, what gets us there with the sporting strategy? I think the path to get to a 90-point team within the framework that Chelsea are operating in, because like I could say, like sell all the young players and use the profits from that and go buy 26 and 27-year-old peak stars. Like that, you could get better that way, but it would be bad. I think that would be ineffective. To me, the path to getting to a 95-point team is like Estevao becomes legitimately one of the best wingers in the world. That's like number one has to happen for this team to get you there. Like, he has to be 10 goals, 10 assists this season. And if he's there, you've got something. I think the second part of this is like, I think we talked about this last year or maybe in preseason. But like, if you look at the Premier League and you say, okay, purely Chelsea put up 69 points last year. How do they make up 21 points? And you look at them versus all the teams around them who finish with many more points. It's all the goals. Like, 43 is a little high if you want to win the league. But it's all on the goal side. Like, 64 last season to win the league, 96, 91, 86 this season previous. And like, these are a bit misleading because they were in a mess, but like 94, 88 goals season before that. 99, 94 goals for. And like, yes, these teams put up 70 goal differences. Like, that is not, I don't think that's going to be the thing in the future. Like, I think the Premier League has gotten too good for that. But like, you have to score 20 more goals this season. You have to score 85 goals, 90 goals if you want to be a 90-point team. So I think some of that comes from Esteval. I think some of that comes from, like, what does Garnacho do for you? I think some of that comes from eventually having a better, more full striker room. Like, I think if you had just kept Jackson, right? Like, then, like, changed nothing else about the window, but kept Jackson, we would all feel so much better. Because, like, you have João Pedro, you have Jackson, you have Delap, like, you have subs for every game to always bring guys on against tired legs. You can play 2 10s, you can play 2 9s, you can do all these things. Everybody would feel so much better. Similarly, if you don't buy Gittins, who I like don't really rate as a prospect, and you'd kept Madueke, like, that's another couple goals in there that, like, all of a sudden you're like, wow, you have Neto and Garnacho off the left, you have Esteval and Madueke off the right. Like, you feel pretty good. You feel pretty good about that. And so, I don't know. Andrew Ford says, curious, more news than that JP and Neto are young and on low wages, so they have resale and don't hurt the long-term portfolio. They're replacements for better players who have sold profit. No, they're not. Neto makes a shit ton of money. And I guarantee you that João Pedro got a fat raise. Neto makes £8 million a year. That's £160,000 a week. The number of teams who can pay him that amount of money is like Saudi, Barcelona, and 8 teams that aren't in the top 4 in England. Like, there is no market for him. Like, Chelsea will not sell him for profit. It will not happen. João Pedro, 125. I bet you it's more than that. I just don't. There's no way. There's no way you're moving those guys for decent money. João Pedro, maybe, because he's almost 3 years younger than Neto. Like, maybe. So, in terms of getting to a 90-point team, like, I think you just need to add so many goals. You need to add so many goals. Goals from midfield, goals from set pieces, goals from the front 3 players, from the front 4 players, all the time. Everybody. I think you got to do all that. So we will see on that front. But it is what it is. A lot of chatter about on João Pedro and like him as a 9 and like 9.5 or a 10 and all these sorts of things. I think João Pedro is a good player. I just think you have to. I think you just have to be pretty smart about like how you use him. Like, if he's just a regular 9 without wingers to run in behind, like, that's just not going to be the thing he's that good at. He doesn't take enough shots. He doesn't score enough. But if you play him with other guys who get shots, I think he would be a very good facilitator. But if Palmer's not on the pitch and you're not playing wingers who take a lot of shots, then you're wasting it. You're wasting it. Is Tosin our highest paid center back who actually plays? Maybe. Maybe. My suspicion is that Neto is on the Saudi train. It's very possible. It's very, very possible. Federico Fellini says, "Is there a striker prospect you really like?" I mean, I think Omega's fun. I think that's like a pretty good gamble. I also find it interesting. We still don't know what the price is on that. Like, but he's good. I think he's like a worthwhile gamble for sure. I also think like Muka is like, or Mayuka, or however you want to say it, like he might be really good. He might be really, really good. Like he's got 5 and 490s in PL2 this year. He scored against Bayern. Like he might be really good. So we'll see. Rocco Scrabbage says João Pedro will score more than Jackson did in the Premier League this season. I'd be pretty surprised. Federico Fellini is here. Love your work, mate. I feel bad. Should I not know? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's quite amusing. Says wasn't impressed with him in the Conference League last year. He was 16 years old. That's the thing. He was 16. Andrew Ford. Sorry for not being clear. João Pedro and Gittins aren't to flip. They're players bought, so you can flip Madueke and Jackson and invest in your next bets. Which, like, some of that is just sustainable roster management, right? Like, is you have guys that were good, but you think are maybe not good enough to be the guy, right? Like, I don't agree on Jackson Madueke, but I also don't think it was indefensible to say, like, they have not developed as much as we thought they would. We're going to move on. Like, I don't think that's a impossible or like ridiculous statement. It's not something I would have done, but I don't think it's ridiculous. Federico Fellini, I remember you said you weren't high on him in the stream with Chelsea Youth. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Shim's not my favorite. Like of the prospects to come out of Chelsea's academy, like I find him somewhat clunky, and I thought he looked very poor in the PL2 last year. But I thought Chelsea kind of in general didn't look very good in the PL2 last year. So like, let's see. But I think he it's very possible that he could be very good, and maybe that's something you want to worry about. So we'll see. And like this fully brings up Setpayev. Like you never know. Setpayev, who knows? Desfilly says, what do you think about Yildiz on the left and loaning out Gittins? I'm going to be honest with you. I think Kenan Yildiz is not good, and I would not pay any amount of money to get him at Chelsea. Yeah, there's no number that I just wouldn't pay. I would not sign him. Like I'm not there. I can't quite get there on him. Like now, if like this is his season, like maybe I'm interested, but like the price is just way too high. He is like mostly overperforming by just like spanking long shots, like absolutely ripping long shots. But there's really not that much. There's really not that much else there. I would be. Yeah, it would have to be a really favorable deal for me to get there on Yildiz. But it's again like he's not the type of winger that I like stylistically. Like he is low shot quality, not a great passer, are like the two things to me. And I'm like, I don't know. I just give me wingers who run behind and shoot. Like that's all I want. I want wide forwards, run behind and shoot. So I don't know. No, it's just not the deal I would do. Austin, do you think Sarr and Selmina get first team minutes next year? Nope. I would bet you a sizable amount of money that they either both go on loan or one of them is sold or one of them is like in the squad and does not play at all. Lord Flacker says, wish the director somehow heard your Doku call. Yeah, I like Doku a lot. We'll see. We'll see. Pano Footy just joined. And wants me to talk about referees. He says, can we finally agree here there's a campaign against Chelsea? I know you are usually pretty measured about referee calls. So, a couple things. The Fulham decision was the correct decision. Okay? So we can just start there. I want to find the review, but I'm not going to go find it because it won't come up. The Fulham disallow was objectively the correct decision. There is no debate. He stomped on a guy as he turned. It was a foul. No goal. Correct decision. The Brentford one is, to me, like, I think the way PGMOL have described the outcome of the situation, which was, actually, I think, is it Chelsea FC or is it just Chelsea? Yeah, it's Chelsea FC. There was, I'm going to go find it. Somebody posted the screenshots of, I don't know. Okay, well, here's the offside for that one, so I'll have that for later. Regardless, they brought up, you look at the Brentford one, and PGMOL basically said, it is subjective whether the offside attacker was impacting the play. Yes, he makes a play on the ball, but it is subjective whether he is impacting Reece James or not. I agree with that assessment. I personally believe he is impacting the play because he is in front of Reece James. If you vaporized him and like he was not there at all, I think Reece James clears the ball. However, I understand that that is a subjective call, and they are fine to go with the referee's decision. However, the United one. Here's the offside. Okay? The line is drawn at Chalaba's foot. The line is drawn at Fernandez's sleeve. I thought watching live, he looked significantly further offside than this. Clearly, they have used a different frame than the one we saw on the broadcast. Based on this, I think this is a fine offside call. Or a fine onside call. I have no problem. Like, I think it's reasonable. The one I think is bullshit is this one. This, to me, is a stonewall penalty. Like, I don't know how the referee hasn't seen it live. It's a stonewall penalty. Like, it's not every month of every Premier League season. I do not know how it was given. Now, do I think that means there's a campaign against Chelsea? No, not really. Do I think that's a bad call? Yes. Yeah, that was a big miss to me. Panel Footy says, look at the red that Sunderland got today. It's literally Maguire versus Batshuayi. It's exactly that. It's exactly that. It's exactly Maguire versus Batshuayi, which I watched with a friend at a bar in Toronto, which is now burnt down, but it was like a big soccer bar. In Toronto, and it was like where all the teams had it was like the Toronto equivalent of Legends in New York, if anyone's been there. And that's quite amusing. He says, I don't see how Sesko wasn't called offside for the Bruno goal. If he's not there, then Chalobah can step up correctly with the rest of the line. And that is a fair point, right? Like, it's weird because the way it's written is like it's impacting the player on the ball, but normally that means like their ability to play the ball, not their ability to like get their line out. Like we see a lot on corners, right? Or on set pieces. So like, let's say here's here's the attacker, and here's the line of the defender. If this player who is offside sets a pick and this player goes behind, we see that get called offside all the time. But I wonder if you saw this player push him back so that this player was onside, would that be called offside or not? I think that's an interesting question. I don't know. I think it would probably not be called. But it's an interesting one to think about. Roel Martin says, I think the penalty is just not going to get overturned if it's not called, and vice versa. Additionally, I think Pedro's whole goal of that action is to get a penalty. I don't think you're wrong on that point. I think he is definitely trying to win a penalty. I think he is definitely trying to win a penalty. Like, he has gone into that narrow crevice to try. But I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. Like, I'm trying to win the penalty, but you still fouled me. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see. Do I think it's a campaign? No. But I just think they're bad mostly. Des Felice says, do you think Malik Fofana for 30 million is better than Gittins for 55? Yes, I liked that deal much more. Andrew Ford, do you think there's any chance Maresca looks at James' performance yesterday and thinks it's worth the risk to let him do 65 minutes per week as an overlapping right fullback next to Maresca? Yes. This, I think, is a really, really fun development, is that James looked unreal as a right wing back. Unreal. And to me, this opens doors of, okay, if we can be really smart about this, and we can be really not conservative, but we can be really safe with James, like 60 minutes a week, and then like the other game he plays 30 minutes as like right center back, right DM, like safe. And you can get 60 minutes a week out of him like this. I'm doing it. I'm doing it every game. He is the best crosser in the world from that position. It's him and Trent, and nobody else is close, and I'm doing it every game. And it opens you playing Estevao there. It opens you playing Palmer there. It lets you play Gittins super wide on the left. It lets you do all the things you want to do, and it gets Malo Gusto off the pitch. All of those things I'm super in. I'm super duper in. So yeah, let's see if that happens, but I'm in. Let's see what else we got in here. Thoughts on Cesc Fabregas is a question. So I think people are getting a little bit ahead of themselves on Fabregas. Como are like, they're 10th. They have an average expected goal difference. Last season, they were mid-table, 10th with an average expected goal difference. Like, I think people need to realize, like, the asks for a team in 10th in Serie A are so wildly different from the asks of a Champions League team that, like, I'm simply not doing it. If he went to one of the top Italian teams and did well, or like Leverkusen, like he was rumored to go to Leverkusen. If he went to Leverkusen this summer and looked pretty good, I'd be into it maybe. But I think like he's a couple steps away, to be honest with you. I think that's interesting. Andrew Ford says, I agree. It's incredible. It actually took yesterday's cast from Maresca to realize this about James, though, isn't it? It's not like there isn't footage. I don't think it's to realize. I think it's maybe to realize, like, his body is capable. I think, because I'm going to be honest with you, like, I looked at, again, Reece James played more minutes last season than he has in, like, many years. Right? And he was injured still most of the season. But, like, he played 1,000 minutes. 2 seasons before that, he played 1,200. Like, I'll take that. He's played a decent number of minutes so far. He played every game at the Club World Cup. Like, this is progress for him, right? He is almost 26, and he hasn't even played 150 90s yet. It's above 150 all comps, but like, we gotta take it easy with this guy, that what his body can do reliably, repeatedly, without him getting injured. So let's see what happens. Andy says beverage and pastry update. I have an update. One sec. Where'd it go? Oh, where is it? Hold on. I got an almond croissant today, but a friend of mine's wife is making decorative bookmarks, and she made me a pastry bookmark. That's how much it has become part of my identity. Is I got a pastry bookmark with croissants and cookies and stuff on it. So I just got an almond croissant today. Nothing crazy. Let's see. What else is in here? How do you feel about the high line? Feels naive to me when the attackers just can't press with the intensity you need, and Trev and Tosin are not monsters that will win every 1v1 duel. This, I think, is a good point. So one of the things I dislike about the way Chelsea have approached things is they frequently end up in positions where, like, okay, so take United. United suck at building. Like, they cannot break teams down. You do not need to unbalance yourself in such a crazy way that, like, whatever, it's like this. To unbalance yourself in some, like, insane way like this, that's just crazy. Like, you don't need to do this to press United. You don't have to. They're not that good. The same is true of Palace. You do not have to do this crazy thing. Whatever, you put him here. I don't care. Like, you don't have to be like this for Palace. I promise you, and for United, I promise you don't. You don't have to walk the tightrope. I just wish it was like a little bit more conservative defensively, like just a little bit, like not a huge amount, because I actually think Chelsea do get like reasonably good transition sometimes. It's just like it's a little much for me. It's a little much. And like you look at, I don't know. You got to be careful. You got to be careful with it. I think you could do with defending a little bit deeper sometimes. Luca, have you had a Kier? Have you had a pistachio croissant? I'm not a big pistachio guy. Not gonna lie to you. Not my favorite. Not my favorite nut. And how's the knee? The knee is good. I ran for the first time yesterday, which was kind of painful. But it's good. It's sore today, but it's mostly fine. It's definitely making progress. I maxed out the leg press machine at physio, which is good, but it's getting there. It's getting there. Do you think we missed out on the Xavi Simons signing? We no longer have a like-for-like replacement for Palmer. Well, I think what has come out is like Chelsea just didn't have the budget to sign him and get him into the Champions League squad. But I don't feel particularly bad about it. Like, I think he is a good, not great player. Like, whatever. To me, I don't look at it and I'm like, whatever. I don't feel that strongly about it. Obligatory Pano Josh request. Yeah, this is one I'm pretty curious to keep an eye on. Is like arguably Chelsea's best performance this season, other than the demolition of West Ham, which is West Ham, was Palace, who are legit good. And Josh started that game and I thought looked pretty good. So, like, to me, I'm fine with playing Josh. I would definitely play Josh more than I am playing him now. for sure, no questions. I would also play Betty Shile when Betty Shile's back. Like I would have zero qualms with playing Betty Shile Josh together. I would feel very fine about that team. Um, I think there are a lot of lineups that you would like Josh to play, whether that's right back, whether that's right center, whatever you want. Play him though. The kid's good. Like he's useful. He's good in the air. He's fast. He can dribble. Like I'd play him. Somebody said this is Facundo. What's his name? Erasure. Facundo Buonanotte. Lucas says Facundo Goodnight feels like Papi Gilabalgi, Michael Hector for 2025. And Rohan Matthews says I saw that Facundo impressed a lot in the team sessions. I hope he comes good. He could be good cover. I think he's just like a zero risk loan. I don't think he'll be good, and I don't think he'll really play very much. But whatever. Panofooty says a place by me makes wacky croissants. I've had a bread pudding one filled with cream and a creme brulee one. A bread pudding croissant sounds fun. Yeah, that's funky. I like that. Andrew Ford, Xavi would have been an insane allocation of resources when we don't have a center back one, a center forward, or a reliable goalkeeper. Yeah, I just don't think it made a whole bunch of sense. What do you think about Chalobah as left center back in build? I think he's so much worse on that side compared to the right. I think the reality is all of them are so much worse on that side compared to the right because your only left-footed center back is down for the season and then Betty Shile is hurt. I think when Betty Shile comes back, I think that fixes a lot of things. I think in the meantime, you're much better off going Cucurella left center back in the build. I think that's the solution for you. You go Cucurella and you get there like this. Like I think that's just how you avoid it. But I agree that I think it does actually hurt a lot of the options. This is one of the things that I thought was interesting was Maresca, when Colwill went down and was talking about getting a center back, he's like, yeah, like we need a particular profile in the middle. Like we lost Levi Colwill there. Colwill wasn't the guy in the middle of the three almost every game last season. Like you can go back. Like we're gonna do this right now. If you go back and look at the majority of Chelsea's pass maps from last year, and just like let's go match analysis. Let's go Chelsea. Okay, and we're gonna go the 2024 season, and we're just gonna look. All we're gonna look is where was Levi Colwill as the passer. Okay, so this game, it's a back four. He's the left, whatever. Okay, let's go to the next game. A game where they would have a lot of the ball. Like, we can just keep going, and we're going to see. He was always the middle, except games where it was him and Tosin. No, it's not. No, he wasn't. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, here, maybe, if let's see if I go attacking half only, if you can see the three more clearly. Like, this is what I'm saying is like Colwill was not the middle of the three that frequently. Like here, clearly the middle of the three, right? Clearly the middle of the three. Gusto's in midfield. But then if you go look, basically anytime Reece James plays, and let's see where he ends up. Like a lot of the time he's on the left. I'm not going to do this. This is boring, but we can go through. And you can see a whole lot of the time. Sometimes he's the middle of the three. Sometimes he's not. But it was not all the time. I know you don't love Wes. But there was a brief period last season when we looked very, very good with him and Colwill. No chance we can replicate it with Benoit and Fofana. Yeah, for sure. I think Benoit is going to be really important this year. I think Benoit is going to be really, really, really important this year. Get him fit. Like I think he's a very good passer. He's good in the air. Like he has a bit of the Fofanas where he can never stay fit. But like I think Betty Shile is like very, very good and useful. Very, very, very good and useful. somebody asked earlier about what I think about Maresca, about what he said about Disasi and Sterling, and Vastarort TV says, would you reintegrate Disasi? Let me go find his exact quotes, because this is a sensitive enough issue that I don't want to misquote him. You know what I mean? Okay. So I'll say a couple things. He says, I've been in Raheem and Axel's situation as a player. I know it's not the best feeling, because if you're a player, it means you want to train and play. But for different reasons, the situation is what it is. I know that the club is giving them the opportunity to work in the right way. That's the only thing I can say. It's something you like to talk about, but it's not just Chelsea. It's at any club in the world. I can promise you, Italy, Spain, England, France, USA, Brazil, any country in the world. For any reason the player in the club doesn't find a solution, if you're not involved in the squad, you're not involved in the squad. My father's 75 years old, and for 50 years he has been a fisherman, working from 2 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock in the morning. This is a hard life, not the way a player works. Now, here's my two things. One, I think this is exceptionally true. Like, the reality is they get paid hundreds of thousands of euros. Shut the fuck up. Second, what I will say is neither of them have said a word wrong. Sterling has not said anything. Axel Disasi has not said anything. He said, I am ready to come back whenever they want me. I'm just like working hard to stay fit and do my thing, which is exactly the correct messaging. I think both of those guys are legit professionals. I have no qualms with how either of them are handling it. I also have no qualms with Enzo Maresca saying, like, you guys are all making a big deal about this. Like, they get paid hundreds of thousands of euros to train at 8 p.m. Like, it's fine. Relax. I also think that's true. However, and he says, like, Chelsea are giving them the opportunity to work in the right way. There are rules about if you are under contract, like what they have to provide you. They have to work with a UEFA licensed coach. They have to have a locker and a dressing room. They have to have showers and all this stuff, like all of those sorts of things. Chelsea are doing that. They have their own training times, their own thing, their own whatever. I have no doubts that Chelsea are, like, to the letter of the law, providing everything they need to. I will say, on one hand, and again, it is not Sterling and Disasi or Sterling and Disasi's representatives saying these things, but, like, if they want to play, there were offers available. If they want to see out their contract, that is their prerogative, and I respect their ability and willingness to do that, and I would do the same thing. If I was Raheem Sterling, I would tell Chelsea, save the money. I will just pay me the rest of my contract, and I'll retire. But that's me. He doesn't want to do that. That's fine. I don't think that's whatever. Now, for Chelsea, and for, like, is what they're doing right, the answer to me is no. And I said this at the beginning of preseason and got hammered for it, where I looked at it and said, there is a 0% chance you are going to be able to move Raheem Sterling. He makes too much money and he only wants to live in London. You will not be able to move him. I would not have bought Gittins, and I would have just kept Sterling to play him. Andrew Ford, I think the thing that was grim about Maresca's answer was that the journalist framed it in the context of mental health, and then he was very dismissive. Rich people can have mental health issues. You are 100% correct. However, I do not think that is his responsibility. Like, I don't think it is his job to do that. I think it is terrible squad planning from Chelsea that you end up in this situation. Like, I don't think you should ever be in a world with your squad where you have players who are, like, literally, like, if you think about let's go back to that wage thing. Let's go back to that wage thing. Like, you are paying, between him and Disasi, £21 million a year for two guys to train and do nothing. Like, I think that is terrible squad planning from Chelsea. I don't feel particularly bad for them. I think it's really shitty from Chelsea. I think it's really poor planning, but I don't really feel bad for them. Um, and I think, to be honest with you, like, I'll frame it this way. If you had a job that sucked so bad, but it paid you really well, and it was stressful and you hated going into work, and like your boss sucks and your director sucks, and you're like, I don't like it here. Like, nobody is going to say, like, it's not their, like, yeah, it's their fault that your job sucks, but like you can make the choice to remove yourself from that situation. And again, if I had a job that paid me £325,000 a week and they made me train at 11 p.m. with no coaches in the dark, and if I trained poorly, they were like, see, you're not training hard enough, we're going to find you wages. Brother, I'd be there at 11 o'clock p.m. running wind sprints. But again, I think mostly it's terrible planning from Chelsea, but it's kind of the situation is what it is. I don't find the moral arguments about it particularly compelling, is how I will phrase it. And maybe that makes me a bad person. Somebody said I want to see Hato. I want to see Hato way less. I never want to see that guy play soccer. Brighton is interestingly our first league game versus a back four this season in the Premier League, so we'll be less of the 3-diamond-3 who are inverting to the pivot, as it'll be 3-2-4-1. It's going to be really funny to me to see how Brighton goes, because it's 100% true that Fulham played a back four against us. Did they actually play a back four though? Or was it like, no, it wasn't really though. It was very back five. I don't think this is a correct reading. It is true. So I will also be very, very curious. I also think we might wax Brighton. I don't think Brighton are that good. All the other Premier League coaches hate Hurts. Apparently he's the biggest brat on the touchline. Pep Maresca, I'll ignore him at full time. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think he's like a pretty good coach. I know someone who worked with him at St. Pauli and had really good things to say about him. So we'll see. I think, like, for the most, like, people talk about how like, football is not a meritocracy and like it's all just like favors to agents. Like, I actually think that's mostly bullshit. Like, I think football is actually like generally pretty meritocratic. Like, I think it does generally result in the best people rise to the top the quickest. Like, I think that is generally how football goes. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's 100%, but I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Agree it's not his responsibility, but he can say something vaguely empathetic rather than drawing a weird fishing analogy to argue that it's impossible. It could have an impact on their mental health. I don't think it's a weird analogy. I think it's like, we play football. At the end of the day, it's not that deep. Like, I think that's a totally reasonable. If an English coach said, my dad worked in a brickworks for 50 years to support our family or something, like, I don't think it would be viewed weirdly. I don't think it would be. It being about fishing does make it sound kind of weird, but I don't think if the general consensus of like, my parents worked actual hard, like our parents worked actual hard jobs, like, this is being made to train at 8 p.m. is like not that deep, is, I think, fine. Also, the data and the science suggests that training at 8 p.m. is good for your performance, because matches are generally at night. That the week before a match, you should train at the time you're going to play the game. Activates the neurons or something like that. Why do I dislike Hato? Because he's not that good. The English Prime Minister always goes on about his dad working in a factory. Yeah, see? Like, I don't know who the English Prime Minister is right now. Is it Keir Starmer? Is that the English PM right now? Was I right? It is Keir Starmer. He looks ghoulish. I don't know if that's a bad opinion, but he looks ghoulish. And he spells his name wrong. Who's my favorite NFL team? I'm thinking the Niners or the Packers. My favorite NFL team is the Buffalo Bills. What are my expectations for this season? I projected Chelsea to come fourth and put 73 points on the board, or 72 points on the board. I would probably have that at like 70 on vibes, but I think we'll be a comfortably fourth again. I think there's a 0% chance we miss Champions League. If I'm not mistaken, you were fine with the Hato transfer. Is it a case that he like gets really raw? Yeah, I think Hato's like a fine prospect. Like I just don't think he's like good. I just like he's a rotation backup left back option and he needs a lot of seasoning. And that's okay. When are you going to address this? Is a good question. Hold on, this is a funny question to change your pace. What do you think of the Spurs? Could they come fourth over us? My model liked Spurs a lot, mostly off the back of Thomas Frank. I don't think they're better than Chelsea. I think they've had like a hilariously soft schedule so far. Like Burnley suck, lucky win versus City, get drilled by Bournemouth, West Ham suck, Brighton are not great. Like I think that's, I don't know, 2 hard games out of 5 and you fluked one of them. Like I don't know. I'm not concerned yet. We'll see, but I'm not super worried. They're also thin like Chelsea. Like I don't think they'll handle Champions League very well. Panafooty, did my comment get deleted because I called Hertzler a Nazi? Sheesh, sorry, Kier. I did not see it, so maybe it was YouTube picked it up automatically because I actually didn't see you say that at all. And I don't have mods, and I didn't delete it. So, yeah, that's maybe we got to be careful with our wording there. When are you going to address the real important news this week? Misha Mudryk, Olympic sprinter. So, like, here's the thing. One, Mudryk will be banned for all sports. Like he can't just leave soccer and go be a sprinter. Like he will be banned from all sports for a doping violation. Second, I still don't understand how we don't know anything about his ban yet. We don't have a duration. We don't have a guilty or innocent, like nothing. We don't have an appeal. Like we don't know anything yet. It's been a year. I think it was October or November of last year, which I find so funny to me. I think the most likely, and like Shakhtar are suing the Ukrainian FA, saying that I saw this. I don't know how true this is. Shakhtar are suing the Ukrainian FA because Andrei Shevchenko takes horse or cow stem cell injections to continue to look young. And he encouraged Mudryk to get the same injections. And because of this, he tested for meldonium because they give cows meldonium. And now he's banned, which prevented Shakhtar from getting all their bonuses, like him winning the Ballon d'Or and Chelsea winning the Champions League. Like, it is the most bizarre situation ever. My guess is he will end up getting a 2-year ban. This year will count as time served, and he will miss next season, and then Chelsea will like loan and sell him. Infokeers, yeah, Infowars. Bro, I'm Alex Jones. They're turning Mudryk gay. They're turning the frogs gay. Yeah. Andy, my thoughts on Van Heck. Yeah, somebody did say that, but I didn't answer it. I think Van Heck is interesting. I think like the passing stuff seems pretty real. I don't really want to buy more from Brighton. And I think defensively he's like kind of mid. Like I think you'll pay more than he's worth to get him, is how I would phrase it. But I think he's an interesting young prospect. I think the like Harwood Bellis, I think, was like an interesting name that got floated around during the window that I thought was good value. Um, I really like Diamande from Sporting, who like was supposed to get a move this year and then didn't get a move. But I'm nervous about going. I'm nervous about getting players straight from Portugal. Antonio Silva from Benfica. Again, like same concerns about him nervous buying from Portugal. Like, I don't know. Joe Tillett says thoughts on Konsa or Stones on a cheap. Like Stones, I think is a really interesting one where, like maybe, like a player that I was actually really curious about because he moved back to Bilbao this year was like, what if you could get Laporte on like a short term deal? Like if you got him for 1 year to be your left-footed Colwill guy, like it's probably worth overpaying on wages to do that. I don't like Ezri Konsa, so Konsa's not really a guy for me. Somebody asked about Schlotterbeck. Like I think Schlotterbeck is massive and like again lefty, so valuable. The thing with the lefties is like you have to be cool with that player either playing left back or playing right center back, or you have to be cool with Colwill playing right center back because ultimately Colwill is going to play. This is the thing. This is why the player that I was mad about, the player that I actually like really liked was on my thing early in the window and then they got Hato, is I really liked Hincapie because he can play center back, he can play left back, he's good at both. He's not huge, but like you can play him the left of the three in the build and you're pretty happy with it. Like I really like him as a player. I think longer term, I think Hato is going to be that player. I think that's the point. I don't know if that's the case, but I think that's what they're hoping for. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Houston would have been fine. You heard about Alexandro Ribeiro. Every time people say this guy, I hate it because I'm like, I keep thinking they're talking about Alexandro. Again, same thing. Like, can he play left back or can he play? Well, this guy's right-footed, so it doesn't matter. But like, I don't know. I don't know if this is the guy. Like, I watched a lot of Leo last year, and he did not stand out to me as somebody that was like, oh, I'd love. Upamecano is out of contract this year, I guess. Like, it's an interesting one. You're going to pay huge wages, but like, I would do Upamecano. That's a deal I would definitely do. I think he has a lot of injury problems, but like, I would do. The main guy says Hernandez at Milan would have been better market. Hato will end up at Strasbourg or sold. I mean, they paid too much. I don't think he'll be at Strasbourg. I really like Konate. Like Konate, I would do Konate before. Like I think Upamecano is better than Konate, but I think Konate will be a more reasonable wage package. But I would happily do either Upamecano or Konate in a free because I think Madrid will only buy one, and so I would go get the other one, and I'd be pretty happy about that. I really like Konate. I think he's very, very good. King Yotanwa, do I still think Madueke is better than Kudus? Yes. I think Kudus sucks. Like, great, Spurs keep scoring off of his crosses, but it's just like they're crosses to nobody. Like, I'm not. Nothing about his time at Spurs so far makes me feel better about what I think he would have been at Chelsea, or feel worse about what I thought he would have been at Chelsea. We just talked about Van Hecke, and I said no. Late to the party says sorry, but thoughts and sub decisions. Go back to the beginning. We talked about the subs a lot at the beginning. Lord Falcon says Mark Gurry in January. Maybe like if it was a reasonable wage package. Sure. I don't know if he's, again, the thing with Gurry is like I don't know how much better than the other guys he is, right? Like how much better than Trev and Tosin and Favani is he really? Is he really? And I don't know if you're going to be able to do that one in January because I don't think Palace will move him 6 months early. Do we think Cole will miss this weekend? If so, how should we set up? Please not George 9. Maybe Neto 9, Steven Garnacho wingers. He doesn't like you. Buonanotte, cup tied. Isn't Colwell Upamecano kind of slow for a center back pairing? I think it's perfectly adequate pace wise. I don't think either of those guys are slow. Like even Colwell is like, I'd say average pace wise. Upamecano's not slow. I think that's a very reasonable thing. Are you feeling this Mosquera hype? He's been interesting for Arsenal. I think we talked about it last pod. How do we set up for Lincoln? I think you just go full rotation. Like Jorgensen plays. I think it's like Gusto, Josh, whoever of the center backs feels the best. Hato, Andre as a 6 by himself. I don't think you play Enzo. I don't think you play Caicedo. You play like Buonanotte and you play like Buonanotte and Reggie Walsh as 10s. You play Garnacho and Gittins as your wingers, and then you play Muka as the 9. Something like that is how I would set the team up for Lincoln. For Brighton, Sanchez comes back. I think you go James. I think you go Tosin. I think you go Chaloba. I think you go Cucurella is the guys. I think you go these guys. I think Palmer's out. You go Guiu as the 9 or Neto as the 9 with João Pedro as the 10. And then I think you go Estevao, Garnacho as your wingers. I think that's the lineup for Brighton. And that's where you go. So we'll see. We will see. Kouliarakis would have been interesting, but his numbers have been meh this season. I have not been following. Has he fallen off? Konstantinos Kouliarakis. Let's see what the passing looks like. His progressive numbers look okay. But another one, right? Like you just have to be cool with them playing left back as well. Would I take a mega in January? Sorry if spelled wrong. Yeah, I think one of the things that's been very interesting is that deal has been phrased as like, the deal is happening in 2026. We don't know whether that means January or June, but 2026. So I would definitely take a mega in January, 100%, and I would plan for that for Strasbourg. Now, yeah. If Strasbourg were like struggling a lot, I might not, but generally, yeah, I would probably do it. Am I the only one who's not convinced that this ownership is going to end up delivering? No, I think lots of people are unsure about that. Ishe Samuel Smith has the potential to break in the team next 2 seasons. I don't rate Ishe, so I'm not really concerned about that. Do you think we need a better left back? I like Cucurella, but he missed on some things that the very best have, although he's versatile. Livramento, who would you think? Yeah, I think one of the interesting things about the Cucurella contract extension, which by the way has not been announced yet. So who knows if that deal's actually signed, is that he's at a weird age and he makes enough money that if you sign him, you're kind of locked into that guy. And I don't know if you really want to be locked into that guy. So I am hesitant to do that big extension. But we'll see. We'll see what happens on that front. I don't know. I just I don't know. Maybe it's I'm honest and I just there's a million players and I don't watch them all. Lord Flacco brings up Lewis Hall. Yeah, I'd love Lewis Hall. I would love Lewis Hall. But I don't think I don't think you're going to be able to get him. But I would love Lewis Hall. That would be an interesting one for me. Did I talk about Kenda's performance against Satpayev's Almaty Kairat? I didn't, because it's against Almaty Kairat. Like, there. What do you want me to talk about here? I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap it there. Crappy weekend, man. Terrible result. Not terrible, but annoying result. Lincoln midweek. It would be nice if we got. It would be nice to see Kavuma McQueen play in that game. It would be nice to see Muka play it would be nice to see like some bodies in there for sure. And then Brighton next weekend will be a big one. We'll be back with the stream for that one. Sorry for no streams. It was like international break, and then I went home, and then I was at a wedding, and it was like a whole thing. So the streams will be a little bit more regular for the next little while. But we've got Brighton next weekend. We've got, I think, Benfica, then Liverpool after that. Like it's a pretty tough run into the next international break, and like we got to start putting points on the table. The women's side won, as That's Quite Amusing says. Any weekend when Sam Kerr gets on the pitch can never be too bad. But actually, if we didn't talk about the women at all, but like they only beat Leicester 1-0. They only beat Leicester 1-0 and did not look good doing it. Well, I did not watch, but this against Leicester does not look good to me. The match was at 4:00 in the morning, my time. So we'll see. And I will finish with Matt Beard, the former Chelsea women's manager, former Liverpool women's manager, passed away this weekend. Very, very sad. I have never spoken to him, but I know a lot of people who have, and it pretty resounding that he was like A1 top tier, like individual human being. So my condolences to his family and everyone affected. So we will see. Anyways, that's all for me. As always, enjoy the soccer.